Pittsfield here, and when we was on the corner with the dump truck, it was like half of the road, and she stopped the whole pump block.
You go down and see.
She sat there for 15 minutes before she even went in and did anything.
It was just plain change.
She didn't do that until she got to the corner.
You can scroll up and look at that comment.
All right, Council, you all ready? You sir? Set to go? All right, very good.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Pittsfield Town Council. We're Tuesday, January 17th, 2023. I'd like to open the meeting and invite everyone to stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. We have just a brief moment of silence, please. All right, thank you all very much. So let's move on to number 2, the adoption of minutes of the regular meeting on January 3rd, 2023. I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
I move to adopt the minutes of January 3rd, 2023.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the council?
There was a couple errors in there, but or things that I thought needed to be corrected, but I cannot get into my computer to see it.
Did you take notes on it? Or?
I did not.
Yeah, I don't usually print out the minutes, so I don't have to.
Yeah, I read through them and I can't get online right now. For some reason, it's asking me for verification and it's not working.
Could we make the corrections at a later date, Catherine? I mean, if we don't take action tonight, it's certainly something that needs to be corrected, of course.
So you don't know what the corrections are?
No, I read them a few days ago. I just remember I wanted to ask about it when we got at the meeting.
Are they typos or items you thought should be in there?
There was a date that was incorrect. Pete was listed as being deputy mayor instead of Howie in the minutes. The vote that we had on that.
Well, if there's something that bad that becomes bad, it's Pete's fault.
Okay.
So you might want to leave it in there, right?
All right, well, we can correct typos if it's a technology item, technical issue. That would be a technical issue.
Okay. That was one of the things that I remember off the top of my head.
So if you wanted to, Heather, if you wanted to send a quick email after, or if you can find it before you get
Yeah,
into the
I'm going to
meeting.
keep trying to get on here.
Okay.
It's just not coming through.
Well, I can read it, but you probably don't want to hear me for the next hour and a half.
No.
Oh, don't say it like that.
Well, we just have other things to do. I don't want
understood.
to hold up the meeting
Okay.
over it.
That's a good save. Thanks.
It was like minor things.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We can move on if you want to make a note after the meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. If it was context, something that was said that was incorrect, that would go on record. That'd be one thing. We know
No,
if
I
it's
didn't
something
mean
like
it
that.
like that. It was
Okay.
just
Okay. Very good. Anything else, Council? All right, very well. Hearing none, all those in favor of adoption of the minutes held January 3rd, 2023, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The minutes shall be approved, given any corrections brought forward later. Let's move on to number 3, please. Presentations, congratulations, and introductions. Catherine?
Yes, for presentations, congratulations, and introductions, we have one item listed under Community and Economic Development Activities and Events. That would be the Planning Partnership Initiative Program, an update on the Main Street project, for which we have another grant, a planning grant this time, instead of a construction grant. All the construction grants are waiting for the planning grant. So basically, I put that information in the town manager's report, but to make sure that everybody hears the update. We had a meeting of the Maine DOT, and the consultant that was chosen by the group that met, consisting of state officials, Maine DOT, town committee representatives, and town staff, that chose the number one ranked consultant. The consultant's price was higher than what the grant and the budget was for. So Maine DOT spoke with them. We had a meeting and then 2 more discussions in which we went over the scope, and everybody agreed on what the scope would be. And so the company or the consultant has submitted another budget with the scope, which looks very good, and Maine DOT is looking at that now. I told them that we need to get a move on here to get this going, so we want to have the committee meeting. So I expect that this will be resolved shortly. And then Maine DOT has to approve the consultant, and then the town will approve that, hopefully at our next meeting. I see no reason why not. The figures are getting close. Thank you.
So the DOT needs to approve
They need to approve who...
the consultant, but were they on the list that they gave us?
They were, yes.
Okay, but they still have to approve. Okay,
But they like the consultant, so...
well, that's working in our favor. All right, all set there, Catherine?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's move on to number 4, public hearings. Catherine, if you would, please.
Ordinance 22-16, public hearing. The town of Pittsfield hereby ordains that a public hearing pursuant to Title 30A MRS Section 3106-B, abandoned buildings, be held, and an order and notice to correct defects and remedial measures be issued on 157 Washington Street, Pittsfield, Maine, located on parcel ID 29-50, owned by Larry E. Munn and Cynthia L. Munn.
Look for a motion, please.
Yeah, I'm here to talk on that. I'm not sure how this works.
We could have a motion first before we can
Okay.
set the
Okay.
conversation. Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry.
I move we open discussion on ordinance 22-16.
Second. Moved in second. Thank you very much. So what I'd like to do is, Al Tempesta, the acting CEO, if you would, if you wanted to provide a couple details on that, maybe we'll answer some questions, or if you'd be available for questions after.
Yeah.
Something you want to bring up, Al, please?
Yep. Are you the most? Okay. I'm Al Tempesta. I'm the interim code officer, and I've been trying to reach you and your husband for quite a while.
Well, not to make excuses, but I did have a conversation with you and explained that we had serious illness in the house.
Okay, you may have had it with Bob. You didn't have it with me.
And 3 weeks ago, I'm not
Okay.
totally clear now, but before that, I could have cared less having conversations. That's how sick I was.
So to explain to the councilors what has been going on, as you know, you all gave me a list of houses that we had had attention. And although we haven't completed the list, we have made some steps and gone ahead and had trash cleaned up. And the Munn's house, it appears to be abandoned from what I can tell. I tried all this summer, and we finally got the lawn mowed, but the siding was blowing off on one side of the house. The windows have plywood in them. It's right down to the studs on the inside. There's nothing, and nothing has been done. I've been here for a year and a half, and except for the lawn mowed, I haven't seen anything done. And we have sent a number of letters to the Munns. I think one of the addresses was St. Albans.
We still have that address.
Yeah, and the certified mails all came back. The regular mail never came back.
So, quick question for you, going any further, Al, if you would. I'm looking at it on Google Maps now, so I think there are 2 houses there. There's one right on the street, and there's one in behind.
Those are 2 separate lots.
2 separate lots. Okay, which one are we talking about?
The
one
White House that sticks
right next to the street.
right next to the
Okay,
street.
all right. That other one behind, that's a separate issue, separate lot, separate owner.
That's the
Same
Munns.
owner.
Oh, same one, okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's another,
yep.
okay. Is that the next ordinance we're going to be talking about?
Not tonight.
Okay, all right. Right, that's on the next public hearing. Okay. All right, so are you all set?
Yeah, I'm all set, and I answer any questions, and I
Okay.
really want to work with them, to correct these problems.
Yep.
Like I said, I started last April when Steve got done, and we started sending letters out there. Yes, sir.
Is anybody living there now?
No.
Okay. How long's it been since anybody's been living in it?
Last year, there was squatters in there. This summer, the
Okay.
summer there were squatters in
In the White House or the Blue
there.
One?
No, the blue.
We're talking about the White House right now.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how long has it been since somebody was in the White House?
I don't think anyone's ever lived in the White House. It's completely gutted out. We were using it for storage. It actually had all our windows in it and lumber and everything that's been stripped right out. So it's still out.
I would say that everything that was useful in that house has been stripped right out.
It has been completely stripped.
Are you done? I just had a couple of questions.
Yeah.
I am Robert Nicholson. I live on 183 Livingston Street.
Yep.
And I've been
Basically across the street
hired
from her.
to maintain the property by the month starting this summer. And she just went through heart surgery for the last year. She's been going through it. And she does foster care. Which she had a lot of problems this past year with her heart condition. That's one of the reasons she adopted 3 children. And her intention right now is to pass on this house. She has 3 children she adopted, but because of her heart condition and her husband just went through cancer, that they haven't been able to do anything. And she just got a hold of me this winter, and I said I would maintain the property, cut the grass. I've been going over there every week to make sure there is a broken window somebody broke. And the building is secured. The windows are boarded off. My concern is I know nobody's living there, and I know there's major houses where you don't have to live in your property, but I'm sure the town doesn't want them in shambles. And I've been up and down both streets. The house across the street to the left, there's holes in the roof. There's no windows or boards in it. And like you said, you have other properties you're probably dealing with.
We have other properties, but tonight we're talking about this one.
We are, it's not abandoned.
Yeah.
She's actually working on the back one right now, and that one's being used for storage while she's working on that, but it's not abandoned. She's
But
paying the
every time
taxes.
she puts stuff in it, somebody swipes it.
Yeah,
And
the windows,
unfortunately, the neighbors don't report it, which they should, but they don't.
the reason the
That's
windows
what's
are
happening.
boarded up, because I suggested that, I said, let's keep them boarded up, we're not gonna, I have windows for it. Don't know if they're gonna get in this year, and we're
They
not gonna
won't
put
until
them
spring.
all in, we're only gonna do the lower and close off the top. But the problem is, that neighborhood, if you go up and down, I'm right across the street working on my place 4 days a week right now, because I just went through eviction, 2 years of trying to get the water shut off because of
200
COVID. She
gallons
went
of
through it in
kerosene
the
in
other
our
thing.
basement.
We're working with, I mean, it's crazy, but I just standing out there in the past week over on her street, listening to neighbors fighting, throwing and smashing stuff. It's crazy. We live in a crazy world. We just can't put nice stuff out now and not let it sit there, so it's better off to be boarded off right now.
So
Nobody can get in it.
let me ask Al a question. So you have, according to this, there's order notice to correct defects and remedial measures be issued. So do you have a list of actions to be taken on that? Is it a specific list that they would need to address?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, you have things like, windows or access, or I know the other house had the foundation, or...
We'll
I mean,
start.
because if you give them something saying you're going to make secure...
Yeah, that's why we're here to work.
Hold on, we'll have one person at a time here, please. So if you have, a list that gives them very specific items, like a punch list, are you prepared to give them something like that if we follow through with this?
I have given them a list.
Okay.
In the letters, I have specified the defects.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, they're not many. One is having the lawn mowed at least once a week.
Right.
Okay.
Hold on.
Finish the siding on the, I guess, the north side of the building that's blowing off. And it's blowing all across the street. There is plywood where the windows are, and there are windows that have plywood. Take those out and fix them, and, of course, it's hard to do. I know, put a window in, and the next thing you know, there's a rock through it.
That's the problem.
So are you saying the canopy?
Hold on. We need to be a little bit controlled here, how we respond, and I'll let you respond, okay? So if we have this list form, what, for my edification, probably the other people in this room, what are you looking for from this? I mean, what is the end result?
Well, this started out as one of the houses last year.
No, I understand that, but by this public hearing right now, what are you looking for an output?
I'm looking for a line of communication to the MUDs.
Okay.
I'm looking for them to be responsive to mowing the lawn, to fixing the siding.
Okay, I think with them here, we'd probably do that. Now, please, you had something that?
Yes, because you keep bringing up the plywood on the windows, covering them up. We were talking about going over, because we're not going to do the windows until springtime, and then we really didn't even want to do windows because we want to use it as a storage. But put a wrap, do a wrap around it and then re-side it on that, buy the wrap and put that on it. What's wrong with the plywood in the windows, covering the windows?
Well, the complaints that I get, that doesn't look good. And according to the property maintenance code, you gotta have windows in there. I'm very much willing to work with you on this house. I'm very much, but I've had no communication. I know you talked to Bob, and Bob had your number, and then I don't have your number now. And I've sent letters, and I've had no response. And I'm sorry that you've had health issues, I really am. I'm not here to kick you when you're down, believe me.
No, I'm not down anymore.
Is there anything that prevents them from saying that's like a garage and they can just have plywood on the walls and now it's a garage?
That's what we want to do with that, is
What's to prevent somebody from saying it's a storage building now, not a house?
They could do that. But there's still a siding on the building has to be maintained,
I get that.
okay? And the lawn's gotta be mowed. Debris piles have gotta be picked up and hauled off. And I don't think those debris piles were yours. I think they're the squatters that moved in there.
Because we actually had a dumpster come in and
I did notice
clean
that.
that out.
I did notice that. The back side of the house, maybe Livingston Street, has got no siding at all on it that I could tell. Is that right?
You're talking about the same house?
Yes, the white
I know one corner it blew off.
One side was blown off from the back.
Yeah.
And I can see that the door you couldn't close the door tight.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
I've
got,
closed it numerous times, put screws in it, somebody keeps breaking in. I've been in contact with the police department now, and they actually been driving over and pulling in now.
Yeah.
And they've been doing that with my place, but that's why I'm going there every time, because to beat the eviction thing, it took so long to do this, and to keep the squatters out, you literally have to get in there before they get in within 24 hours, so.
right.
If you thought of putting, you can even put the like $40 and buy a game camera and stick that as a surveillance camera motion and take pictures of who's breaking in and out. Have you thought of doing that?
That's
You
something
talking to
you
me?
can do. She does that.
Yeah. I
Either one of
have.
you.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, like, she hired me,
Yeah.
and we intend to put windows in, but she wants it for a storage building. I did tell her, I don't know if there's an ordinance against it. I said, there's no law saying you can't make a garage out of your building, because I've done it for people. I'm a contractor, so I said, or you can use it for storage, but you have to secure it. You have to make it look good, like you're asking, and she can give you her address and number, and we can all work together. I've never met you. I met the other code properties, code enforcement, and it's been nothing but good since I've worked with him all the time on properties.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a matter of communications and not doing this overnight. This coming summer, work on the windows, the siding, to give her a chance to do it.
Right.
If we can do that and keep in touch.
Yeah, is it possible just to have because naturally the grass issue, that's not in effect now.
Yeah.
But I mean, is there a way that you could have probation periods and say, okay, you got 6 months from now to June, clean the place up or get in compliance, so.
Yeah, I'm more than willing to work with them, with the council's blessing.
This is a problem we've been talking about for a long
Yeah, I
time.
know.
So
It
for
sounds like-
us to get to this point, this is significant.
Right.
To have the owners here.
It sounds like they finally made some steps to get it in gear.
And it doesn't sound like there are any surprises.
Yeah.
I mean, for what you hear in this, you're not surprised on any of this, and you're being
No.
very reasonable in your reactions, and, you know, I appreciate that.
The other thing is, it actually looks good. I know you're saying it needs work, but if you go around the neighborhood right across the street, I mean, the whole neighborhood, there's like 8 houses that are in worse condition than this, and they're being lived in.
Well, we have the tenants.
So, and I know, so I'm just saying, this
They may be
is
on the
something
list.
this summer, that's,
They might be on the list.
they probably are. And I wouldn't doubt if mine was at one time, but I've been fighting for 2 years on mine. I've been doing eviction here, police, DOT, not DOT, Department of, what is it?
Oh, the oil spill people.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole thing going on
Thank
in
you,
my
DP.
house, it's crazy. But, I mean, we're gonna get it done this summer, but we need time, and nobody's got the money. All the materials are so expensive right now.
Okay,
More than.
If you're willing to work.
if I could stop you just a minute, I want to hear this from the Munns, not you.
Okay. Well, I would, she's hiring me to do it, that's why I'm here to speak up on it.
Yeah. That's all, I'm happy with that. I believe we could go 6 months and,
Yeah, I think you could, Doc, you had a question?
Yeah, are taxes up to date on this property?
This year's taxes have to be paid, but, I mean, I'm not, just, what is it, 2022 is going to be paid?
Yeah.
That's it.
They have 1 year's worth of taxes due.
It's not actionable yet.
Okay, that's fine. You know, I mean, they're making an effort in that regard.
You have a second, Catherine. Jason?
Al, do you know if this place is structurally sound?
yes, it is.
It is.
If you, and I was surprised, if you sit back and look at it, the roof line is just as straight. It looks like it has a new
It's-
foundation underneath it.
Yes, it does.
Because one of the letters where you jacked it up, you'd left the holes where the iron went through to pick it up. So yeah, it's got a new foundation on it.
Okay.
So that,
So you've gone through, well, you haven't
I've
gone through
looked.
it, but you've looked.
I've looked, yeah.
so that was the place that had holes in the foundation.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the
Okay, yeah,
All
windows.
right, but that was to lift up, but it's all
Take care of
taken
it
care of. Not boards, it was actually
now.
blocks.
I'd have to look
or
at the
concrete.
picture, but I believe it's been
I
taken
mean,
care of.
is it,
No,
It's
it's-
cement blocks. It's
how
cement
has it been
blocks.
secured? Is it a proper foundation?
It's proper foundation, it's, if you.
Concrete
I wish
or
my house
blocks
on
or-
Livingston Street was like hers.
I mean, it's not just boarded up to cover the hole, it's actually,
No, it's
okay.
boarded up to keep people out. It's actually a livable building, but we're working on the back one.
Right, understood, I was concerned about the foundation.
Yes.
I'm looking at
Foundation
Google
has
Maps,
been done.
I wasn't sure if it was that one, the one behind, because that was probably one of the biggest spots that their squatters were getting in.
Yeah, that's
I
the one
would
that was
assume.
eviction.
I would-
We boarded up the holes, but it looked so ugly. We went around it with, pieces of, what do you call that stuff? Around it, just to make it look nice, all the way around that wood, plywood, all the way around, but the windows themselves, the holes were boarded up, and then we just covered it around it.
Jason, did you have a follow-up?
Oh, no.
Okay, Catherine, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. So, if we're in agreement, we should have a list of the items that are going to be fixed and the due dates for those, and not have everything due on one day. We should have some structured due dates.
So, what
Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, do we have to do that tonight, or I'll give you my number and...
I expect you to go up there and start putting up boards right now.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to have a heart attack.
yeah, Heather, go ahead, please.
My misgivings is that we often get to this point, and then there's agreements made, agreements broken, and agreements made, agreements broken. So that's my concern, is that it took so long to get this point and get some response from the property owner, and that, I don't feel like that is really making any progress on the issue. If it's, well, this summer we're going to do something, it sounds like there's some actionable things that can be done right away, like securing the siding, especially with winter being windy, a really windy winter, getting that secured right away so that it's not blowing around the neighborhood or causing extra damage to the building. securing the door, finding some way to make sure that it's secured. So, I mean, even in your own interest, so if you are working on that other building and using this as storage, it's in your best interest to, and I don't understand why that wasn't done to begin with, if people are breaking in, secure the building better so that you're protecting your own property. But I would feel better with like a signed agreement with dates and specific things.
Because
take the most important thing and start working on that, whatever's accessible right now, and within 3 weeks, have this done. Within 2 months, have this done. By the time summer comes, the stuff that's covered in ice and snow now gets cleaned up at first melt. Those are the kinds of things that we as a council should be looking for, and not just, well, this summer we're going to do it. Because if you're working on that other building, this is not going to be the priority. You're going to be trying to work on that other building. So I personally, that's what I would like to see come out of this. But it has been a very long time. This building's been talked about for at least 2.5 years. There's been issues around this building with squatters, people being in there, destruction of property, and the issues of the not following the maintenance codes and things like that. So it's been a long time coming, and I want to continue kind of like moving in that direction of moving forward. And the biggest thing would be making sure that the town is aware of how to get a hold of you, because a lot of notices are sent and not responded to. And I understand the medical issues and everything, but life doesn't stop because of those kinds of things that come along.
Initially, it was because there were no, the windows were broken. The initial contact and conversation that we had was the windows needed to be boarded up or covered up. The holes that we were talking about, we took care of that. That was the first go around. Then he's come back with the plywood on the windows. It's like we boarded everything in so nobody could get in there.
Well, can I interrupt you just 1 second?
Yeah.
I guess the point that was made is that this has been several years that this has been the discussion. And I made the comment earlier, the fact that the owners are actually here to talk about the property. This is significant because this is probably one property out of dozens that we talk about, and the owner never is in here. And the CEO always says, well, I've sent out this letter time and time again. So I am in agreement with Councilor Donahue that there needs to be some kind of dates or time frames or something like that. First thaw, maybe we get to the outside stuff. Having it secured and having that door open time and time again, it wasn't properly secured. I'm not here to berate anybody. I'm not here to criticize anybody. I'm just saying this is matter of factly. This is what it is. So if the town is going to put in the effort to say, okay, we'll work with you again, we're going to expect something again. So I guess before we leave here tonight, you're not going to have an agreement with Mr. Tempesta in hand, but I want to make sure we have your contact information, numbers, addresses, verifiable that are actual, that we can contact in places where if we do send a letter or certify a letter, they will be acknowledged. Because if we're at the point where months from now we're talking about the same property for the same reason, you're not going to have the same kind of response from the council. Okay, and I please, I'm not trying to be berating at all. I'm not judging. I'm just being very matter of factly on how we look at this kind of thing. To have you here, thank you for coming here and doing that. I mean, it's a big step. So I will acknowledge that. Sir, you have
I just want to jump in and once again, like I said, her health issues, and it has been for the past couple of years. But the problem was she was trying to do eviction on the back property. We couldn't access the front one because every time I went there this summer to either clean up, maintain, or board something up, they came out and threatened us.
Right,
Because
understood.
they said, this is our property, get out of here. The cops would come over and they said, technically they're squatters, but they're claiming the property. I'm going to ask you to leave. And it's repeated. It's not by her fault. She wants to get this done. But I want to let you guys know, I'll go over there tomorrow if the siding's blowing around. I can make it so it's secure, but we don't want to fix it because she wants to get it right.
Understood, but go
And
back
I
to
will do
my
that
point.
if
There
you want that
have been
tomorrow.
numerous communications with no responses. That's what we're going
But the
with.
work
We
was
understand
done.
you have issues. We all have lives. We all have issues to deal with. I get that. But there's been, I mean, this is my fourth time on the council, and this property is very familiar to me as a councilor.
But she's saying the work was done, they asked the other gentleman, asked her to do this.
I understand that, what I'm saying, this has been communication after communication after communication. That's why it's on this list.
Over here, the
Okay,
whole.
yep, understood, yeah, Al, go ahead, please.
Heather, this is January, and we're almost at the end of it, right? So would you say a time limit of 5 months with a list of things to get done?
That puts us at the end of June.
Yeah. Not all summer, beginning of summer.
Right, yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I
it
wouldn't know
depends
much.
on the extent. I don't have the full list in front of me, but I mean, I know we start working on outside projects early April,
Well,
May, but,
we
you know, it
could
depends
hit-
on what the projects are that need to be done.
We
so.
could hit it lucky in April, you could start putting siding on and roofing them. And we could hit it bad, it'd be May because it'd be
But
too
like
much
you said, I
snow.
mean, if the goal is to secure the building, so there's no further damage, secure the outside of the building so that there aren't parts and pieces falling off of it, then that I think would be the biggest thing to do first, and then deal with the cosmetic stuff, you know, through the summer. But
When-
definitely
Yeah.
secure the building first and make sure that there's a further damage to other property in the area from things falling off
We
of
have
it.
to.
Al, I think we left it up to your judgment.
When is your next council meeting?
First,
February 7th.
Do you think before February 7th,
By then.
you could have that rear door secured?
Yes, we'll have a new door.
Okay.
I'll make sure all the windows are secured, I'll make sure the around the building's secure, and I'll pick up any side.
I'll tell you what,
It's all
you,
secured other than that back door.
before you all leave tonight, get their contact information. You have Mr. Tempatz's contact information. You folks work out what you need to do. I mean, you know what needs to be done. Al knows what needs to be done.
If there's a certain amount of time that there's radio silence too, I think should be, you know, if Al tries to contact you 3, 4, 5 times and gets nothing, then I
Right back here.
don't think we're waiting 6 months for much,
Absolutely.
in my opinion.
Yep.
But
I just have one question. Your code enforcement, are you now just you, or is the other gentleman still here?
Just me.
Oh, okay, because
I
I
do
do
have-
we met then.
I have Travis Gould is filling in because I'm not supposed to be here
Okay,
until my shoulder gets better.
all right. Have we met? Because
I don't think so.
Okay, so we haven't met then, because
No.
Okay,
make sure I'm not stepping out of
Yeah.
line, because I know I've been here a lot with code enforcement in the past year, and I've never met you. And
You said the roof is pretty long.
Hold on. Captain, go ahead, please.
I think what we can have for a motion would be for the council to authorize the code enforcement officer to work with the MUNs to create an order with a listing of the items that need to be remedial work to be done with the due dates, so that we have progress every month or couple of months. Because there are items that can be done now and items that can be done later when the snow's all
well,
gone.
would that not be considered the way this is written though?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then he could bring
Yeah,
that back
so-
to the next meeting.
Right, so if we made the motion, I mean, we have the motion in play, if we vote on it as is, if we can add a stipulation, of course, you're giving us, reports back. I mean, if we can get some kind of, what was your initial, contact between now and the next meeting? You know, well, we got the agreement in hand, I have this, and, maybe your meeting, just, they have, X amount they need to do by this date, so when the date comes up, how they doing? You know?
I'm looking from this date to the next meeting,
Yep.
2 weeks, that you have that rear secured so they can't get in.
Yep.
I'll take your folder home and I'll type up a list. Do you have an email address?
Yes, I do.
And I'll send it to you, okay?
So whatever, Al, what I would suggest, whatever you would give them, it's clear, it's concise, bullet points, fix this, check this, check that. If there are any questions on it, that's why I'd like to have you have his number, and vice versa. Now that we have communication started, if we lose this communication, as several councils have already mentioned, we're gonna be right back here.
Makes sense.
And you won't have as friendly ears to listen.
Makes sense.
Okay? That's just being reasonable, right? Okay.
There'll be a clear list with that.
Very good. So any other questions, council? Comments?
If I could.
Yep. I'll get to you, Heather, sorry. Yeah.
Nope, go ahead.
I'd like to see you don't take any action and table this for 2 weeks. And we'll see what they've done in 2 weeks, if they've done it, if not.
The way it's written, it's kind of, like Catherine was saying, there's remedial changes that can happen. So even if we adopt it, it's not doing anything other than, you know, you're having an order and a notice to correct defects and remedial measures.
Right.
So it's just like officially saying.
Hey, you work out the timetable with them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
When's the next meeting?
2 weeks.
3 weeks.
February 7th.
How about we show up in 3 weeks and we'll be...
Well, if you'd like to do so, that'd be fine, but what I'd like to do is have you folks and Mr. Tempesta
Okay.
work out the deal. You have the open communications, and Al would give us reports as needed or as he feels fit. Or, I mean, you're certainly welcome to come any council meeting at any time. Heather, you had a question you wanted to bring up, please?
Al, when are you actually back on duty? Like,
I don't know, I can tell you
don't know when
more
you're back.
Friday morning.
Okay. I don't want Al to have to keep coming in here if he's technically not working right now because he's on medical.
You know, thank you, but my wife loves it because she
So you got to play with the boss.
So that was one concern that I had, that I didn't want to put more on Al because he's recuperating and stuff than it's beyond what you should be expecting of him right now. And then the second thing is, if we do not see measured progress per the to be made agreement, what is the next step from there? Do we have to start all over again, or do we come back with this and take a different action with this same type of wording in the ordinance? Because I know it took a while for us to get this part squared away, so if this agreement is made and then steps are not taken and it's not followed through, then what would our next, I want it to be clear for everybody what our next steps would be, kind of if then kind of scenario.
What would that be, Al?
Well, the Munns have showed up to the public hearing. If in 3 weeks we don't see anything, and I believe we can talk to the attorney, and the attorney would say yes, we can take action, we can go and have it fixed, we can put it as a special tax, and
Because of the way it's set up, if the work is not done by the month for a reasonable cost, if the town has to do this, and we do the proper order and notice, which we're going to do if we approve this, then we can issue a special tax. It's like a tax bill, so you'll want to do it because it costs the government more to do things. So you'll want to do it yourself.
I'm really glad you showed up. I really am.
This is the exception to the rule that we usually see.
Yes,
This here is exceptional.
This is the exception.
So, any other questions or comments, council? Anything else you folks want to add before we close?
So you basically want to see, and then by the next meeting, at least the siding secured so it's not blown off back there.
I'll have you work with Mr. Tempesta.
We can step outside and call,
Okay.
and we can talk about it, if that's okay with you.
Yep, that's fine. Yep, if you like to, and we'll move on to the next one's just going to be set to public hearing, so there's really no input that we'll need from you.
And your time, if we all understand, I'll be back here in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I just wanted to make it clear that you're not asking for the windows, because as a contractor, I got a list of houses to do. You're just asking.
I think what you got
You'll
to
be
be
impressed
requested,
when I'm done.
there should be amount of reason for that, and I have full confidence that you folks can work that out. Yeah,
Just before you close, we do have somebody online. I don't know if you want to check their online comments or anything.
Yep. So anyone online wishes to speak on this topic? All right, very well.
Buy a game camera.
Council?
Buy a game camera.
All right, very well.
At my house, the next street over, and do anything.
We're gonna close the topic. So hearing no other questions or comments, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of ordinance 22-16, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Ordinance 22-16 passes. So thank you very much, folks, for showing up. It's a big deal. We understand the pressure you're under, but
Yeah, no
thank
problem.
you. It's significant.
Okay, kids?
Yeah.
from the hallway. Watch yourself.
So one thing as you leave, please keep communications open for both ways. And, you know, Al will be available for your questions and comments, and if we could have it both ways, appreciate it. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
All right, very well. Let's move on to reports, please. Council committees, Finance Committee. There've been no meetings. Ordinance Committee and Recycling Committee. Stop me if I'm wrong. Okay, board and committee updates by Town Council Manager. Catherine, Planning Board, any updates you want to provide on that?
We're working on a date for the planning board meeting, and the recreation committee may be meeting Thursday evening at 6:30.
Okay. And let's move on to the town manager report, please, Catherine.
All right, very good. The first item was a planning partnership initiative, which I already reported on. And the second item had 2 public hearings scheduled specifically on the month because we had no communication back. The certified slips were not signed. They did not come back. They did not call or anything. So as long as this works out, we do not need another public hearing. It's only on there in case they didn't show up.
Okay, so you're talking about ordinance 23-01.
Correct. It was on there in case nobody showed up, but they happened to show up because they read their letters, of course.
Okay, so we can move as normal and just vote it down then.
Yeah, or you can just pass over it. It may need to come back in a later date, but
Okay,
right
we'll
now it
just
won't
table
be
it
good.
then?
Yep, we could table it.
Okay. Anything else?
And so quickly, we are working with Harris on the financial system. The foreclosure notices for 2020 taxes are going out this week. So we have 28 properties now that will receive foreclosure notices, and we're working with a couple of them to try to get them in here to pay before the notices are filed, because they have small balances. And everybody that we had phone numbers for, quick fund phone numbers for, we contacted them. These are the taxes that were due in 2020. Androscoggin bank accounts, interest rates are going to increase, which is good, at least on the bank balances that we have. Still working on the credit card. I thought I had them, but it did not work out, so I'm working with another bank now, and hopefully we'll have a meeting shortly. On the police officers, we had 3 open positions. One has been filled. Police chief hired an officer who had worked for Augusta for a year. Had not finished the very last step at the academy, so that needs to be done. And she is on 2 to 3 weeks of administrative work and going around and having her training, and then she's able to work on her own because she does have the experience. That leads us to 2 open spots as of today. Our police chief has another candidate who would be considered a green pin, so he would have to go to the academy, and he's making a job offer shortly. The gentleman's very impressive. Recycling attendant, that position has been filled, I believe, 5 times last year. The pay has increased, and so we're advertising. However, the pressure is off because we have an individual that works in another department that is shut down, that is working there and really likes the work. So maybe there'll be a shift there later on. A full-time code enforcement officer, 1 application so far, and we did advertise for part-time help in the office, and I just got 2 phone calls, 1 phone call and 1 email. The water sewer meter review took place. There have been issues in that system off and on with a variety of items. And so we had Mueller, which is the company that is in charge of the meter reader and how it works and that part of the system. They came in and spent 2 days here and went over everything to do with the meter with the current staff to make sure that everybody understood and were doing things properly, which we did find out they were. And they're indicating that there are issues in the Harris Trio system. So I've asked for a list because just hearing this issues isn't enough. We need to know what those are so we can give them to the Trio system, and hopefully that will help. Because we have to go back and read some of the meters 3 or 4 times, and that shouldn't be happening. I know you will have some issues. There always will be some meters that are an issue that have to be replaced. But there shouldn't be, more than just a few. And financial work is the major focus of time, so we're working on the finances. every day, because we want to close off the books quicker than we have the last couple of years. And so that's going well, but it is time consuming. So I try to keep it very short. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Catherine, appreciate that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Catherine, you said that you have one applicant for the code officer for the full-time position.
One so far, yes.
Is there a timeline on that? Like applications need to be due by a certain date, or are you just going to keep it open?
We kept it open simply because it's hard to get a code enforcement officer. I had several sites and free items, and then something I won, but now I've gone and committed to some significant monies to put this out. So hopefully we'll get more applications. We didn't get much from the Maine Municipal Association.
And
But it also is a difficult time. I held off and didn't advertise till the first week in January because people aren't paying attention around the holidays. But by now they should be looking around.
And is this applicant going to have an interview, or are you going to wait until you have a few more to?
We'll do them all at once so it's fair.
Okay.
Yes, Craig.
Couple questions. Let's see here. Mostly on the Harris Trudeau system. So back in November, I had requested it by the end of December that we have a list of ways that the town had been disadvantaged. You can excuse me, but and I know you've been extraordinarily busy, but have you had any time to put some pen to paper for that?
I have to summarize all of the material. You saw the folder I have. Well, I've got more
Yeah.
now. So I need to summarize that so it's clear as to what the issues are. I asked all of the staff for their time that they spent, but they're having trouble generating the cost, the number of hours or the time that they've spent on all of the issues, because to them there's issues every day.
Sure.
And there are issues every day, but I write mine down, so I have mine. But I need theirs too, because they're an integral part of this. So we are working on it. There is quite a stack, but I need to condense it.
So, and that's right. And all we need is really kind of a bulleted thing where it's this issue, how many hours it caused you, or financial impact to the town that it caused. Because just going through our warrants, there's a $21,000 bill that we just signed, right?
Oh, yeah.
For them. That's 2 years in a row now, right? So, but if that's costing us money, that needs to be felt downstream as well, right?
No, I agree.
So we definitely need to see that, and sometimes having that type of documentation in place and being able to present them with issues creates fixes on the small problems that you're having faster, because they don't want to push that problem any further, right? So they understand that we mean business. So I would like to see a little bit of traction on that if we can. And I think really that's my biggest piece for that. I think it's phenomenal that we've got some recruitment going on. Great to hear that you have some progress, or at least some direction to move forward on the credit cards. That's awesome.
I thought I had them, but there's a certain way you need to set that up, and it
Sure.
just didn't work with that thing.
No, we're just right. It's going to take a little bit of trial and error, and those things happen. But those are definitely good pieces to
I'll
kind
have
of
that
have
for the next meeting. I have my part done, but I really need the other staff's part, and it is hard for them to calculate their time, but they're going to have to estimate.
Yeah, they got to just give you something. It doesn't have to be exact, right? And I'd rather be on the lower side, right, than anything, because it probably lower side is more realistic, because every problem seems bigger than what it is. But we definitely need to have that list, because there needs to be some sort of traction on that. We can't just continue to allow us to be in this position and that to take up that much of your time. So.
No, I agree, and I'll be talking to some of the other towns. I was told in about 8 months to a year, these things work themselves out, but we don't want to go that long.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right, very well. Let's move on to new business. Catherine, if you would please. Let's read the ordinance 2301, and then we'll take action on it.
Ordinance 23-01, set the public hearing on February 7, 2023, The Town of Pittsfield hereby ordains that a public hearing pursuant to Title 30A MRS Section 3106-B abandoned buildings be held and an order and notice to correct defects and remedial measures be issued on 157 Washington Street, Pittsfield, Maine, located on parcel ID 29-50, owned by Larry E. Munn and Cynthia L. Munn.
So this was the ordinance put in there in case the Munns didn't show up tonight, so I'll look for a motion from the council.
Motion to table ordinance 2301.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, council, comments? We're clear on what we're doing here? Very well. Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of tabling ordinance 23-01, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Ordinance 23-01 has been tabled. Catherine, let's move on to resolution 2309, please.
Resolution 23-09. Resolved that the Town Council approve the filing of a community building grant of $10,000 from the Maine Community Foundation to conduct a community needs assessment, and if approved, further authorize the town manager and librarian to expend the funds in accordance with the grant requirements and town regulations.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Mr. Mayor, Holly said she has a meeting till 8. Do we want to deal with our other 2 or 3 items and come back to this one and hopefully she'll join us?
Do
Or
we
would you
need
like
to have her speak at this? I don't think we need to.
Is Alicia working on this?
I do not know if Alicia's working on the grant. To my knowledge, she's not.
I heard you were, but I don't think you are.
I met with Holly and Jane. It was just a suggestion. I think that it's fine to go ahead and talk about it. I didn't know.
No, I
She's
get.
intending on joining at 8 after her
No,
meeting.
I guess why I'm saying that it's approval to apply for a grant.
I mean, if it was going
Okay.
to be voted down, then I would say that we potentially pause it at that moment, but yeah. I
Okay,
don't
that's
see-
fine.
yeah,
I
yeah,
will
I
be
don't see
open
that being an
discussion on
issue.
resolution 2109 then.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you very much. So that is an approval the council would give for a community building grant of $10,000. That would authorize town manager and librarian to expend the funds in accordance with the grant requirements and town regulations. I mean, to expend the funds if and when that grant is received, correct?
That would be correct.
Is there a town match or anything?
No match.
As I understood, there was no match.
So you're working with this, Heather? Can you?
I met with Jean and Holly just to kind of flesh out what this might look like. We went to the online training that Maine Community Foundation put on regarding the overarching programs that they have. And Holly said this is a project that she's wanted to do for several years to really get an idea of what the needs are within the town and the community, especially with so many new people moving into town. And the fact that we're talking about redoing our comp plan and redoing our town charter and working on those things, more long-ranging program changes to the town, and then it would be a really good idea to have a baseline like this to reach out and have listening sessions and find out what the needs are from the residents at this moment. We have ideas from the past, but find out what our active needs are now and what people are looking for either services for the town or things that they want to see the town doing. And this community needs assessment would be one way to do that. And the basic premise of this is to hire a consultant to do this and organize it, because Holly doesn't have time. It's quite the undertaking, and Holly doesn't have time in her schedule to do it just as the library staff, but the library would be directing it and reaching out to people, and they have support within the volunteers that they have as well to kind of do community outreach. So it seems like a good spot in the town to do it without putting extra burden on the town office to be running a grant, that Holly would be handling that.
So the motion would be just to approve the applying for the grant. So the consultant you had mentioned, is that included in this 10,000, or is this 10,000 to determine
The 10,000
scope
would
and
be,
then having a consultant flush it out?
the 10,000 would be the the full grant amount, and the consultant fees would come out of that 10,000.
Okay.
It would be monies to fund the consultant, and if there's activities that require materials or other support, then it would come out of that, Catherine.
Yep. Yeah, Catherine, go ahead.
Yeah, this is basically the beginning of a more comprehensive comp plan review than what we've normally done. Some towns, the larger ones, will hire a consultant or bring in to do a silhouette study or focus groups, and this is somewhat like a beginning stage of that.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Anyone online wish to speak? Very well. Anyone in the audience wish to speak? Pete?
I'm good.
Council, any questions or comments? Very well. Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of Resolution 23-09, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 23-09 passes. Catherine, let's move on to Resolution 23-10, please.
Resolution 23-10. Resolve that the Town Council waives the bid policy, Chapter 2, Administrative Code, Section 106, to accept the renewal of the agreement with the Waterville Humane Society in the amount of $7,882 to be amended, and authorize the town manager to execute the agreement.
So the motion would be to move on this resolution with the amendment amount of the insert that we had on our desk, $7,307.96.
Correct.
So I'll look for a motion as such, please.
Mr. Mayor, I motion we approve Resolution 23-10 with the amount listed as $7,307.96.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? I think what we have in the package is self-explanatory. Any details to add to that, Catherine, or it's, we're good to go with that?
No, we're good to go with that.
All right, very good.
Mr. Mayor, my
yes,
one
please.
concern is that we signed this contract with them, and it clearly states in here that they take all the animals we bring them unless they are under quarantine by the state. Are you aware of any period of time, Catherine, that they actually notified us that they were under quarantine? Because I know last year there was discussion that they weren't actually taking the animals at one point.
We found out when they were under quarantine and the ACO had gone down and people had tried to bring cats, is when we found out and read the newspaper article.
So they were actually under quarantine. It wasn't just we're full of cats, we can't take them.
No, they were under quarantine.
Okay. And they're not providing notification to that to us ahead of time?
No.
Is there a way that we can put that in here, that they actually notify us they're under quarantine, so we can let our officers know that they need to make alternate plans?
In a cover letter, when we return the agreement, we can stipulate that this needs to be done.
It needs to be in there before we sign it. Once you sign anything that you add to it's not a big toss. It would have to be amended before we would move on.
Well, it's certainly not an unreasonable request.
No.
I mean, I'm surprised they don't have it set up on like an email.
Should we stand?
Customer email, we're under quarantine, click it once and everyone gets it.
It's just a communication thing that they need
Yeah.
to let towns know, because, I mean, it's a significant amount of money, and if we have to make plans to take animals other places, our officers need to know that.
It would save a 40-mile round trip down
Right,
there.
it's a waste of time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's an excellent point, Heather. I never considered that.
So was there just that one, it wasn't just one instance where they denied?
More than one.
Right. So they weren't under quarantine each and every time. So they,
The last time they were, but not if we go back over the years now.
right. So,
I mean, they do get bouts of like feline
Yeah.
issues
Sure.
and flus and things like that that go through the kennels and stuff that they can't and shouldn't be taking more animals, and it's just a matter of telling us, their customer, that we can't accept and we can't provide services until our quarantine is over, type thing.
Too bad there isn't a big farm around here where you can bring all these animals.
No, I got all my cats fixed.
Oh, no, I never thought of that. Well, maybe I would.
I have a really long driveway now. Nobody drops off kitties in the barn.
That's hilarious.
TV
Leave a big box. Oh,
Cats.
Well, if one shows up, you know where it came from.
Because you don't have to.
One me for me.
I fix them, and then they run away, and I don't see them again.
We had that happen years ago on the farm growing up down there. Someone dropped out a pregnant cat, and we had probably 3 dozen feral cats in just several years. But we had absolutely no mice. All right, so do we need to stipulate that requirement in the letter, or is that something you can put on there when we send it down to them?
They've already signed the agreement. This is their
Okay.
standard agreement.
Can we at least send out a request for that? I'm sure that it's not the first time they were, given that kind of information by other towns or other entities. Yeah, so if you would do that, it'd be greatly appreciated. Excellent point, Heather. Thank you for that. Any questions or comments, council? Or actually less money than what we anticipated.
It is, yes.
Never
It's
actually seen it.
unusual. Very unusual.
All set? Very well. Since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of Resolution 23-10 as amended, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 23-10 passes with the amendment number. Catherine, let's move on to the last resolution, 23-11, please.
Resolution 23-11, resolved that the town council approve the renewal application for an on-premises liquor license for Outland Farm Brewery and execute the application.
I look for a motion from the council.
Move we adopt resolution 23-11.
Second.
Moved and seconded. I say no discussion was a vote.
That's right. No, we had to. Let's all go there
It's a liquor
afterwards.
license. No
Yeah,
discussion.
no, I'm
Let's
just
all go tell them in person right afterwards. Right?
Any questions or comments from council? I put in an application for quality control every time, but they deny me. They say you can, but it'll cost you each time in quality control.
You got to have Al go with you.
That might help. Hey, I know a guy.
That's right.
So we're good to go, council? Very well. Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 23-11, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 23-11 passes. Thank you very much, council. Let's move on to discussion items. Catherine, do you want to give us the Reader's Digest version on that, or are you good to go with information in the packet?
I'm good to go. I just received the fire chief's materials. They were a little bit late because he was concentrating on the FEMA visit, in which for the first time in over a decade, there is a possible declaration for our county. It looks like it will go over, so we may be able to get some funds back from the storm around Christmas.
A declaration, what do you mean?
It's a declaration of an emergency
Okay.
situation, so then you can apply for FEMA funding.
What was the emergency?
The storm that took place right before Christmas
Oh, okay,
washed
the
out
power outage,
roads.
okay, yeah.
The wind.
Gotcha.
I'm surprised that hasn't been done already.
Not good.
FMCSA did.
Yeah, we lost our hoop barn and our equipment shed. It flipped it right up and over.
You didn't lose any animals, did you?
No.
It may have been done, but the last email we got from Mr. Smith, that hadn't been listed as being fully addressed.
All right, very well. Let's move on to reports, and I will go to the one and only audience. Mr. Audience Lodgerdice, you have something that you'd like to say? Questions, comments? Come on, anything, something.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. That was your favorite thing to say in 3 years of the council, wasn't it?
As of last week, you were still deputy mayor on here, so I'll accept that.
All right.
I have nothing.
Very well. I shall start with Deputy Mayor Doc.
A couple of discussion items and/or questions. With respect to the ordinance on the abandoned building that we had, they were saying that they were using this as storage and that they were squatters. What is the rule regarding squatters and getting them out? What is the procedure in that case?
It would be the state law procedures of eviction. Now, to my knowledge, there were no squatters last summer of 2022. There were squatters the year before when we issued a notice to the Munns that both buildings had to be vacated due to their condition. And we weren't sure which building they were in. We knew they were in the blue building, the other one, but we weren't sure if they were in the front one because there were vehicles around it all the time. And it turned out they were living in the back one, and one person was in the front one. So we ordered them nobody in the buildings until they were fixed up. And to my knowledge, nobody was in the buildings last year. There was no water, sewer. The accounts were all X'd out, so nobody could go in and file, to get water back on.
Okay, so if somebody just moves in there right now without any services at all, okay, given there's no electricity, no water, sewer, what right do either the town police or whatever have? I mean, the laws of eviction for the state, do they apply in that situation? I mean, it's an unlivable situation. I mean, can the health officer go in and say you can't live here anymore?
We somewhat already did that. We put in writing that no one is to live in there.
Yeah, but they were, and they continue to do it.
Well, they did leave when the Munns were good. They got them out of there. And what the gentleman was talking about, that builder, to my knowledge, there was no vehicles there or anything last year. It was the year before that there were issues there.
Okay.
So I'm not sure on the exact item. It sounds like somebody would be trespassing, but once they're in there for a while, they sort of claim rights, and so this is a legal question.
Okay, all right. The warrants that we had were a huge amount in the past couple of weeks. I mean, probably totaling over close to $500,000 altogether. I know some bills were delayed, etc. And I'm concerned that vendors are not going to want to do business with us if we continue that way. I'd like the Finance Committee to basically, I picked up a couple of things that I've discussed with Catherine in the past week or so when I've come in to sign warrants. And, it takes some time, and quite honestly, having served on the council before and doing it again this time, granted, as a retiree, I've got a little bit more free time, although today didn't seem like it. But to go over the warrants and really evaluate what the town is spending, okay? I don't think you can do justice to it as you're sitting in a council meeting and discussing issues that come up. Now, I know it's asking for a little bit more for, we'll give you overtime, maybe we can give you overtime for having the meetings, whatever, a little bit more extended. But is it possible for the Finance Committee to basically either meet or go over warrants either before the meeting or at another time, at a set time, basically just to make sure that things are on the up and up. I discussed today with Catherine the fact that there were CMP bills that we had late charges on. We're spending extra, of the town's money, and that to me is unnecessary. CMP usually gives us several weeks, before a due date, and to have the late fee charged because it was either not paid or didn't get there in time seems to me to be uncalled for. And I would certainly appreciate, we need 2 people from the Finance Committee and 2 signatures from at least 2 councilors. And, as deputy mayor or as just a councilor that has plenty of time, I am willing to go in there and nitpick these bills apart if necessary. You know, whether it's an ancillary member of the finance committee or whatever. You know, I'm here to help. That's why I ran for election this time. I think that that's important, as well as the other committees need to meet regularly or at least semi-regularly to have some report to the council. You know, I feel uncomfortable coming to the meeting every time and having people say, you know, no meeting, no meeting, no meeting. I understand that a lot of times there is no meeting and no need to meet. But, you know, maybe at least on a regular basis, whether it's quarterly, you know, every other month or whatever, for some of the other committees. And since we're looking at redoing the charter, you know, in the current year or so, I think it's important for the ordinance committee to basically take up things and kind of review things as they come along. So that's my point in that regard. I can discuss this further with Catherine or the mayor to kind of go over what's necessary, but I'm just kind of putting that out there, particularly with the finance committee. The computer issues and the sewer and water issues, to me, they're almost going hand in hand. You know, we got water bills this time on a quarterly basis. You know, we've had issues in the past with meters. We've had issues in the past with not getting readings. You know, is it Trio? Is it Harris? Is it Mueller? I don't know, but I think it's time that we're asking the MUNs to basically have a checklist to get things done by a certain date. I think that, Catherine, you need to get this fixed by a certain date because this is going on far too long. You know, you had training back in August, supposedly, you know, for the new computer system, August, September, whenever it was, and to have these problems come up over and over and over again is uncalled for.
It's a different problem each time.
It's a
Today we
different
did the
problem.
foreclosure notices, and there wasn't one step that functioned properly.
You know, is it fixed?
I fixed it.
You know, Catherine, we need a list of things that are outstanding. We need to compare it to Harris's, you know, list of outstanding. And if they don't line up, we need to know why. Because, you know, it's going on long enough, in my opinion. I think that the rec committee, you know, is doing a good job with what they're doing. I'd like to kind of make a proposal for maybe discussion next time to potentially expand the role of the recreation committee, to make it a community activities committee as well. Because I think that, you know, I think this is a great opportunity. They're doing a better job with respect to providing recreation and events for our kids and children, and I think we should. We want young families to come to town and have activities for their children, but those of us who no longer have children in the school system and like to be part of activities in town, I think that we need to provide it for them. And it can't be done just on a purely voluntary basis. It needs to be organized somewhat. We need to have kind of a community calendar to basically produce these events. So I'd like to at least discuss it next time. You know, maybe we can get Ben, you know, and any other member of the rec committee to kind of get some feedback and how they feel about it. But that's kind of where I'm coming from in that regard. I think that in closing, and getting off my soapbox here, I think that we've got a good council. I think that we're being active and proactive, and I think we've had a good start to the year. So that's it.
All right, Doug, thank you.
Yeah.
Councilor Frost.
Yeah, Mr. Burns, I see there in the water report, there's 2 hydrants not working. I take it one of them must be the one up across from the hospital, because it's got a bag over it. That's one of them there.
There's one on the corner of Apartment Ave, too.
Is that where the other one is?
I think so.
Yeah.
Is that still there? Yeah. Corner of Apartment Ave.
Is there any update how far out there now for parts?
They would fix them once the weather's better.
Okay, so they have the parts, huh?
They've got new hydrants for those locations.
Okay. The only other thing is, I had to chuckle a little bit. I know we was getting on the Muns about their grass not being mowed, but I got a neighbor right butting my property, and they only mowed their lawn probably twice a year, sometimes. And I mean, that grass, so sometimes we get a little picky, and cosmetics-wise, the Muns place don't look good. If you start going around this town looking at cosmetics, boy, about a good third of the places in this town don't meet no cosmetic stature. That's all I'll say.
And that doesn't even include Sibley Point.
The only thing I did, listen to Howard on the warrants and stuff. Actually, when we sign all these warrants, it's already after the fact. The service has already been done. Is there any, before it's even spent, I'm used to, when we used to have to purchase or have a service, it would have to be approved somewhat there was a threshold. We could approve whatever we wanted by, department head, Donnie, whoever, they could buy whatever they want. But once they reach up to a certain amount of level, do they have to come to you, Catherine, ahead of time and say, I need that, I'm going to do this, is that okay? I know.
Yes, that's what the purchase orders are for.
Okay.
And then the larger items come to the
Come to
council.
council and stuff. All right, so it is going that way.
And I did process through, in working with Donnie, because we still don't have a bill from Northeast Paving, but we did process through what we thought was the appropriate payment, holding back for the issues on 2 of the country roads.
So just double checking that we're standing on top of the checks and balances and watching what we're doing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we found a few items. I did all of these warrants to make sure that they got done on time.
That's all I have.
All right, Brad, thank you. Let's go to Councilor Jester, please.
Well, the horse I was going to ride has been well beaten, pretty much dead at this moment, so it's not much for me. I just, to both of their points, the warrants are an issue. And there's actually one that I have not signed and probably will not sign right now because we can't see verification in there for services rendered in the first quarter of last year. That's ridiculous. So, there needs to be accountability to the places that we are using for service. They need to have their bills to us in a timely manner.
We had a company that, over the years, that worked on the sewers with us, which was the only company that we could find, and their bills would be 2 years old. And so we would tell them that we wouldn't pay them if it was over X date, but under the state law, we are liable for the payment. And so there's several of those, but some of them, in looking into these, the department heads got the bills, and they weren't turned in. And so that's another issue that we're working on.
Okay. That would be, if we can have that noted, so that, because those are questions that I was looking at tonight as we're working through here, right? But
I wrote it.
I'm one that when something is just slightly off, I'm going to catch it, and I set that aside, and I won't touch it until you and I have a conversation about it. So that's one of the things. Yeah, if we can have those notes saying, and by who, bill was not provided in a timely manner, and that's what we need to know. And that's just for you, for your documentation, right?
I did that because there were several that we hadn't seen,
Right.
ones we've asked for, and then there were some that we hadn't authorized, and
Right.
so those are all noted there.
Like that, the ag and turf
Yes.
one. That was,
That's one.
there was 3 payables and none from later than August. That's, when we're looking at buying weed eaters in January.
Yeah, it's the
It's an
first
issue.
bill we've seen.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think that's all I have. Is the payables are definitely an issue, and you're going to be working on the to follow up on the manager's report discussion. You'll be getting us the list of, and Howard's point as well. You'll be getting us the list of the ways that we've been disadvantaged.
It's a good thing that we're just going back since we got the new software, because frankly, the first week I was here, there were issues with the TRIO program, and there was before I came, and there has been every year.
Oh,
It's just more now since we went to the web version.
Trio historically has issues on the property tax side.
Yeah.
That's been a known issue. I know from, obviously, we've had presenters in here that work with that every day, and there's known issues with that, but we should not we should not be financially responsible for those issues, right? That needs to be, they need to be held accountable. So, thank you.
What's that?
All set?
All right, let's go to Council Donahue, please.
One thing that I was thinking of when the months were here and Al was talking, we used to have, before COVID, we used to have a FYI folder. And that is where all of the letters from the CEO and any announcements that would come to the council's attention would be put in there. And I'm wondering if we should reinstitute that, and that would kind of, it might shorten the town manager's reporting a little bit if those items are put into that FYI folder, and it just sits on the table and the councilors can look at it. You remember, Howie? I don't think we've had it since anybody else. You remember?
No,
it?
I do, and I
Yeah.
had until you mentioned it, so that's right too, we did have it, it's been a
And
long
that's
time.
kind of like, because of COVID, we weren't passing things around, so it's been missed, but I think that was an important tool that the town manager and the CEO could use to keep us informed. Like anytime a letter was sent out, it got put into that folder, we could all read it. And I know last year, following up on all that was like a really big thing that was focused on, was like, when did the letter go out? What did it say? What was the requirement? And that was all in there because we actually got to see the letters. And I don't know if that's something we can reinstitute, Catherine, now that that Al kind of has straightened things out in that department. And it might streamline some of the discussions we have, and it might also make it a little bit easier for him to know that we're fully informed about things. And if he can't be here, then the letters can speak to him about what's going on.
We can do that. It had the code officer letters, and it had the letters that came into the town, which are very few now, because most
Everything
people,
comes.
there aren't letters anymore, really.
Yeah, but sometimes there's things that are sent to the council and you'll read them to us or put them in the
Yeah, it's
report or
rare now,
something.
but yes.
So just an idea that we could maybe start that up again. And I have to say, I have never seen the back walkway of the town offices cleaned so quickly and so well. I mean, the guys on the highway department are doing a really great job at getting that all cleaned up. I stopped in early this morning and it was already cleaned off. And usually it's like this messy, mushy mess. And it's just right down to the pavement, easy to walk on, nobody's slipping and sliding. So kudos to them for quick cleanup. And they had the parking lot had all scraped down and pushed up again already too. I'd like to echo what Howie was saying about having regular finance committee meetings. I think that we can front load some of the budgeting issues if we're tackling small projects throughout the year instead of saving them all till the end of the year, especially if we're making changes with the rec department, which I wholeheartedly agree in. I talked to Ben a couple years ago about having a full-time rec director in order to have that expanded programming to target the entire generational flow that we have here in town and not just targeted at like the 12 and under, which is pretty much where we're at right now. And so I think that's a great idea. One other thing that I talked to him about was actually taking some of the grass cutting, like having a full-time rec director with an employee that does like the maintenance. We still have not seen like a maintenance plan or an inventory from the rec department, which is one of the reasons why we changed up that department and how it was working, to have them focus on the infrastructure and get a plan. Like we talked about capital improvement plans, like basically having something like that for our park system. And that hasn't been done yet, and I'd like to see it done before our next budgeting starts, so that we can start looking at those things and plan forward on that stuff, as well as we do on the highway department and all the other buildings and stuff. And that was a goal that Ben shared, and I think they just got overwhelmed once the committee started going. They hit the ground running that summer, and they've just been nonstop since. But I think that needs to be a focus this year to kind of broaden that a little bit, and that can impact the finance committee, and kind of they can meet with the finance committee to talk through what those programming changes would mean budgetary wise. On another note, we had our first Maine Cheese Festival Planning Committee meeting today. We're looking at having a festival here again in September 10th down at the park, and so we will have that item coming to the next few weeks. I'll do the paperwork for the request. Other than that, and no, you cannot bring any kittens to the park.
I was actually thinking about cow chip bingo. They had that one year. Well, man.
Well, they only go like 5 feet in, and then they, do their thing. So
Well,
that's the best bet right there. The first 15 steps.
So what a draw! What a draw!
I love that thing.
All set? Okay, thanks, Heather. Councilor Hall, please.
Yeah, just a few things. I like the idea of the FYI folder from Al. That was a good idea. We had that Excel spreadsheet, like 11 by 17, of all the houses that we wanted cleaned up and the status of them. Were we still maintaining that? Because that was helpful, and that could maybe go in that same FYI
I
folder.
think we'll set it up differently.
Yeah, but
It's hard to utilize, and with Al being out, we've concentrated only on several items.
okay.
One of which is this one, but it'll get
Right.
going again.
So I'm thinking we could probably add to that list. There's still plenty of eyesores in town that need to be
Yes.
cleaned up. So there was that. The Trio Harris thing, obviously everybody's beat that to death, but I think it'd be worthwhile having them come and speak, and if we have questions, ask them directly. If there's issues that are open-ended and haven't been fixed for months, then they can speak to them and maybe get a little fire under them, or see what the root cause of some of these issues are.
Fire or a boot.
Right. Well, whatever. It's painful to hear every 2 weeks the same. There's issue after issue after issue. I can't imagine every town has issues like this, so I'd like to see some kind of, I don't know, I think it would be beneficial to just see what they have to say. On top of that, I think I'm good.
All right, I'll try to be as brief as possible. Just a couple quick notes. I'm enthused to see the Munns here this evening, at least Mrs. Munn and her rep, or the other people with her. That, I said it once, that's the exception to the rule. How many times over the years, Heather or Doc, have you seen landowners here working like that, especially on a property that we all know? Not all know and love, but we all know. So I thought that was exceptional, and part of the reason is that we're starting to put a little weight, putting teeth into what the CEO needs to do. We're actually being serious about it. And I think it's part of what, I know that's been an ongoing process, but we're going to start to see more like that. How they say in the movies, the word will get out. So I think that's a good step. It's going to be painful. It's like pulling a tooth, but wiggling it till it finally falls out instead of tying the string. I think we're giving the CEO the string. I can come up with another analogy. The first thing that popped in my head. So in the Public Works Department, I've heard and I've seen and I've had other people express the leadership has been exceptional. We see a huge difference. The way the people look at the town is differently than the people that work for here. I think it's almost palpable. So there has been a difference. So I think we're really headed in the right direction with that. And reiterate what you had talked about, Doc, and I think we had mentioned it before, probably offline several times about the rec director. Like you said, call him community director, and the first two things I thought of was, the Christmas tree lighting thing. That shouldn't have to be a volunteer, or, Jan and his wife, they do the summer concert series. That has nothing to do with the town. The town doesn't, the only involvement the town has with that is the gazebo. That's all volunteer. I mean, that could be, like you said, the ages are changing. I'd like to see something more like that, make it more of a permanent, full-time position. Kind of consider funding it a little bit better. I know, listen to me talk about adding stuff to the budget. I know it's weird. It's like a bizarre world here, but that I think would be a big deal. And we think about summer concert series. What else can we start talking about? Like adult basketball league at MCI. Who knows? A pickleball, something like that. So I want to reiterate. I think it's a good idea, and I just want to kind of throw my hat in the ring on that. The finance, recycle, ordinance committees, we have those set up. I don't have a list of people, but I know finance has been mentioned several times here. It's the beginning of the year. It's probably not too early to get started. So whoever's on those, I just want to say we ought to get started on that. Start with the new year. So a couple things I want to follow up with and close out on this. Before I forget it, Heather, if you want to get those notes on the meeting minutes if you want to do it tonight, or send an email to Catherine. I don't have any issues with just something to change. Okay. So I have started a charter review, and by charter review, I've gone through, started to go through the sections, write them down, making notes. What I'm doing is providing priority, like 1 through 5. 1 is, we just throw one person at that, do a review. 5 is, we really need to take some time to look at that. So it's just my first time through Section 13C, land use definitions. There's some sections that, like site plan review, the CEO and the planning board, those would really be the ones for that. Floodplain management, CEO, so I'm just going through the charter review, so the ball is starting to roll on that. Kind of the way I'm thinking about it, if we can take it a section at a time, or say, Brent, can you, this is a priority 1, when you get a chance, can take a look at that and make a couple notes, and then kind of consolidate and have, some discussion at some meetings. I'd like to, it's going to be a long process, kind of hoping that by the end of the year, we have something consolidated that we can approve and be in agreement on, send it to the state wherever we need to have it approved. At least get that done, get flushed through this year, because I think a review is necessary, and I've been saying that for some time now. And the other thing I want to talk about is the library. And I mentioned last meeting with Mr. Smith and Mr. Therian here that I was going to bring that up. Seemed kind of funny that I mentioned it because they were sitting in the front row, but I didn't really have my list of things to talk about. Apparently we do not have a contract with Allied Real Estate.
You should library.
Theater. What did I say?
Totally.
I said library?
It's on your mind.
Oop. Sorry, Holly. No, the library's fine. I'm going to get a letter now. The theater.
I was wondering if you thought that was...
Sorry. I took people references tonight. So anyway, I want us to reconsider putting that back on the market. Probably for the price that we were offered before. We have no contract with Allied Real Estate right now, and we do not have any way of marketing it. So I want us to reconsider putting that back on the market, get another agent, maybe Allied again, and go after that once more. Quick.
Can I make a suggestion that we throw that at peak and have them work through that?
Pete brought these people here to us.
No, I'm saying we need to go through a realtor, so throw it at peak.
Why do we need to go through a realtor?
See,
Because they would be able to handle the questions, and I don't see why Pete would need to. I mean, Pete wasn't involved when it first went to the realtor, were they?
yes.
They were?
Peak, P-E-E-C.
Yeah, yes, I know.
Right, met and interviewed 3 different realtors.
Okay.
Made a recommendation to the town, and then worked with Ally to come up with an offering price or an asking price. Made that recommendation to the
Okay.
town. The town approved that.
Okay, again, I guess all I'm saying is I want that as a topic for discussion again. Because it's been too long. I think, in my opinion, I think we missed the boat last year. My opinion. But I think we need to take action on that before that becomes a vacant lot. So, I believe that's all I had on my list. I know we've gone over a little bit more what needed. I think I'm good to go. So with that, I will look for a motion.
Make a motion with adjourn.
Second.
Moving second. We're adjourned. Thank you all very much.
I was waiting for you to make a motion.
I didn't know Pete took the lead on that. You know, by interviewing the agents and all that. Yeah, and that's fine. We can work out. We do the same thing, but I guess my point was I just want to start talking about it again. I want to put it back on the
I
front
didn't
burner.
realize that the contract had ended.
Well, I just asked Catherine tonight.
Just recently.
I'll be interested in putting my
Yeah,
2 or 3 cents in on that one.
I can get the hour.
Again?
Don't you worry.
How about when we sell the library?
I gotta think.
I'm gonna get some Polly. I know I am.
I don't even need to go to Holland. My wife's on the truck. At least she's got my phone tap.
And it's not a Freudian slip. I was not thinking of that subconsciously. It wasn't, honestly.
Sorry, personal.
Didn't finish hard. Yeah, I waited as long as I could. I was going to wake you up. I didn't do down. I didn't do. I almost didn't do yours. Because probably the day was trash.
I got all of that.
Yeah, that's what I didn't mess through these. I introduced the really hard. Oh, this is brutal. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was breaking through maybe, just a little, thickness of the string, but not closing in. And I had yeah. Yeah, it was brutal. It took a while. So I had to drive over to break it all up. No, I snowballed a lot of it. And then I after I broke it, I had to go over it 3 times, probably 2 or 3 times. It was painful.
You just hit the one from Tony Casey, so that can be some.
Craig, those your notebooks over there?
No, they were in that desk, so I'm not sure they were extras.
I think they're binders that,
What was the new orientation thing was? I don't know. That was in that email.
I don't know. Orientation.
oh, they're probably, these copies.
After they have their.
One's a 2019 binder, which I've got. I had my own copy, so. Special. Well, I had a copy, other than that one, no. But this has been brought.
I had mine at home.
No, I had all that stuff down the bottom.
You do not.
All the budget books.
Good time to look at the
The whole thing was of course I still have it. I have no photos of my children. Oh my wedding, but I have one town chart.
You didn't have.
There was like boxes of.
So, because I put that stuff.
Old fashioned books. They're all like blue records of the Chinese market melted.
I had a.
There's some of them are very hard, and I like to put around. I have a whole bag of them.
At least past summer. Truck and moving stuff. Last 4 or 5 years. I I finally started to look inclusive. I knew I had a bunch of negatives. I used to have a
Yeah, it doesn't help.
camera that I played with
Well,
years
it turns
ago.
out that,
So I found
you know,
a big stack of